So now that we have all our joists in, we can put our border blocking in the last bays, and then we just have to make sure we put our post blocking on the end that's going by the ledger here, because again we're going to have the triple beam out on the front, so we don't need the blocking there. So now these blocks are a little bit narrower than the long block rip, because we want to make sure it can go past the hanger flanges. I'm just going to make sure they are centered so that there's a little space on either side. So now that we got these made, I'm going to put them in, screwed through this double rim into the blocking with some lightweight 4-inch lags, and then nail it from this side. So now that we have our side blocks in place, we're going to cover this with joist tape. We're eventually going to cover all this with joist tape, but since this is a wider area, we're going to need to use something a little wider. You can use a couple of strips of 4-inch or 6-inch, but I happen to have this 12-inch here, so I'm going to use that. G-tape is nice because for exactly that reason. Tears like duct tape, or maybe a little better. Tear it around this brace. Once this brace is gone, we can flip that little bit of tape there down. So midspan blocking is blocking that goes between the joists so that your joists get all tied together, spaced evenly, they get held vertical. But the most important thing a piece of midspan blocking does is that it keeps the joists from moving up and down independently. When you put a piece in between these two joists, when there's pressure down on this joist, it pulls this one down with it. So when you get a person standing over just one joist, it tries to transfer the weight between all the rest of the joists, and it makes a more stable deck. So if you're concerned about your deck being squishy, whether that's because it's PVC or because you have 2x8 joists, midspan blocking is a great way to prevent some of that, and if not all of it. But it's also even better to do when you have a really far out deck with long joists and no beam in between. So we're gonna add some of that about halfway between our beam and our ledger, which is about 23 there. Fit. They don't have to be level with the joists, they can be a little lower. So if you're lining up all your midspan blocks with each other, it's a little hard to get all the screws and nails in. So it's perfectly all right if you want to stagger them a little bit, and then you'll be able to access the end and screw through the joist into the end of that block. Sometimes they can fit a little tight. So now we are going to finish putting our beam up. We only have one layer on right now, so we're going to get some screws started in this one, so that when we get it in place, we can easily screw it on. Making sure all the layers are fairly even on top. So right now it's more important to get the tops of the beam even, because even though we're going to want the bottoms even so that we can attach the posts to something flat, we can shim the posts more attractively and more evenly than we can the top for every single deck board or for the border board. So we're just going to make sure the tops are even right now. Plus with the posts, we only have to do it in a couple of spots. We don't have to shim the entire height. So we're going to make sure the tops are flush. And I'm going to do a couple more on the inside into this layer to make sure that this one and the inside layer are stuck together well enough, but I'm just going to get these in place for now. So as you're putting your beam layers together, you are actually supposed to nail them or screw them together in a certain pattern and have nails a certain distance apart. And that is for the inspector. They usually want to see that the beams are all held together, because tying them together adds strength, because really this joist is only resting on this hanger that's on this inside beam. So these two beams, if they're not connected well enough to this inside layer, they're not really adding any strength. So making sure that this is nailed with the appropriate pattern for the fastener you're using is actually really important to make sure that your beam's actually doing what it's supposed to. So all three layers of our beam are together and solid, so this is now ready to have posts put underneath it to support it. So we can do that next. We're gonna keep taping and do some other things, but that'll be coming soon. When you're talking about the nailing pattern, I believe it's something like 3 nails every foot or 16 inches. Your inspector may specify what he wants you to do, but galvanized nails are also a cheap way to go. You can also put them up if you have the nail gun for it. You can put those up really quick, or you can just use those same 3-inch nails you're using on hangers and everything else. So we are just gonna finish taping up the tops of our joists and blocking and our beam here. I've got plenty of 2-inch. You can get a width of tape for every width of frame you have. Like you get 6-inch for this, or 4-inch, be a little shy, but you can get sizes for every type. You can also just use whatever you get, but make sure it's a flashing grade tape. This tape, I believe, was designed for window flashing. So, well, originally, it's actually been tailored to use for decks like this. 2-inch width is perfect for joists and whatnot. So joist tape is especially a good idea on existing frame decks. You wouldn't necessarily have to add it to new frame decks, but it's a cheap extra protection that you can add to your framing. Keeps the tops dry. Really, the top is the main part where water sits and wants to rot, especially if you get junk built up between your deck boards that sits on top of those joists, like tree seeds and leaves. It just sits there and stays soggy for a while, and eventually leads to rot. So joist tape is an easy way to waterproof that. There's also joist coatings you can paint on. I find this to be a little messier, or a little less messy. There we are, all set. So sway bracing is something we add to the underside of the deck to keep it square and keep it from swaying back and forth. Because if you get strong winds, it may try to push the deck sideways. A lot of people on the deck may also, all the weight shifting and moving does try to move the deck a little bit. So adding the sway bracing is going to make it stable, and it's also going to keep the deck square. And when I say square, I mean keep the corners at 90 degrees, keep the deck boards from shifting at an angle, and it will just stabilize the deck. It's not a hard piece to add, it's just a 1x4 screwed to the underside of the deck. So you just take a 1x4, cut it to the angular distance here. You may need to trim the ends a little bit to make sure it doesn't stick out past the edge of the deck. You want to make sure it doesn't go past your double rim, because then it would hit your fascia. So cut it to the right size, and then once it's in place, making sure it doesn't sit right where your post is going to go on the deck corners, you can nail or screw it in to each joist so that it holds strength the entire distance, and it grabs each joist and keeps each joist from shifting. So before the sway bracing gets installed, you're going to want to check and make sure that your deck is square. And to do that, you'll measure from one corner to the opposite corner, and then take the same measurement across the other direction. And if those measurements are the same, that means your deck is not shifted at an angle. And once you've done that, if you do need to adjust it, you can do that with somebody pushing on your temp brace, or using clamps, or even a temporary sway brace to adjust that. Make sure everything is 90, make sure you're all parallel and your corners are perpendicular. Once that's done, then you can cut and install your sway bracing in the underside, holding it in that square orientation. So the next thing that we're going to do is going to be putting our posts up. This is about the latest time at which you want to put your posts up, and that's because of all the weight that we have just resting on temporary braces. The braces we have now, we just have these two 2x6s. If you've got a bigger deck, you may want to do something bigger than just this. Add a couple more, put a piece underneath your joist so that it actually holds it from the underside rather than just with a couple screws. But really, as soon as we had our rims and our beam in place, we had our locations that we could have dropped a plumb line and gotten our footing locations. If we were to have tried to put the footings in place before we'd framed anything, it might be in a different spot. We might have to come back a little and redo footings. So that's why it's always good to frame up your rims and your beam before you get to footings and just temp it up in the meantime. So we are now all done with joists, beam, ledger, framing, all of that. We are essentially ready, other than our posts, to start laying decking down. We've got joists every 16 on center for our field boards, and then where our field boards stop short for our border board, we have blocking to support those field boards. We have support on our border. Our border out here will also be supported by this triple, and then our midspan is low enough where it doesn't obstruct our field boards running over the top of that. All of our decking will get screwed to these joists or these blocks in between, and should support it just fine since we've got everything in place.